Hi everyone and welcome to Eminova Partners Day. In this video we will cover Windon Energy Group together with their board member and co-founder Vahid. Welcome.
Thank you for having me.
So could you start by briefly introduce Windon Energy? What does your business consist of?
Sure. I mean, Windon is one of these old quirky companies founded in 2007 by a traditional, what we call in Swedish, uppfinnarjocke. Very focused on product. Initially, he set out to kind of revolutionize the wind turbine industry, but 2 years later figure out solar is more impactful. Fast forward 15 years, the company is now publicly listed. We've moved from doing just solar to trying to offer a wider range of products and services. So if we look at the pro forma turnover 2023, we're doing about 74 million the past 9 months with a adjusted EBITDA of around 11.5 compared to about 44 million in 2022. And with similar margins as this year. So basically we're growing and we're growing with profitability.
Yeah, that's good. So if we look at your markets, what is happening around your markets and what drive the need for your products?
You mean the general market demand? Yeah, I mean it's actually it's a very nice industry to be in because there's so many market drivers in this industry. So 10 years from now, when this has become the huge success we think it will be, everyone's going to think we're geniuses, but actually there's been very strong macro wins. Like if you look at the inherent strong increase in demand of clean energy, people are getting way more conscious today. You can't burn coal in the same way you did. Nuclears are getting questioned. I mean, that demand for clean energy has skyrocketed, I would say. You have government incentives, like you have the IRA Act, Inflation Reduction Act, you have the European Building Act, you have so many government incentives basically pushing this industry forward in terms of like tax reduction, tax reliefs, portfolio strategy, standards. So I would say that has done a lot for it. And also I would say with the war in Ukraine, I think a lot of people have opened their eyes to the fact that we need to be energy independent as well.
Yeah.
Because I mean, why are we paying 3 kronor an hour here in Sweden up in Norrland where it's always basically been cheap and free? So I think that's also driven the macro wins from a consumer perspective, but also on a global perspective. And then obviously EV cars. Do we think we'll have more EV cars in 10 years from now than we have today or less? So all of this, I think, has basically pushed the electrification of society to a point where there's no turning back now.
Yeah. So what makes Windon Energy stand out in the market? And also more important, what are your competitive disadvantages?
Yeah, so we are a Swedish company focusing on the Swedish market right as of now. We are looking at expanding our businesses outside of Sweden and outside of Nordic as well. But I think what we've done since day one, and that's the heritage of the companies, we've always been very product focused and we do want to try to deliver a very high quality product. So if you go to your average distributor today, which we're not a distributor, we're a producer, they will just sell the product that's on the shelf that week, which is fine. But if you are a company that has recurring clients or customers and someone bought something 5 years ago, you want to be able to say, oh, that's the panel you bought from her 5 years ago.
Yeah.
We'll help you with that. So we're a Swedish base. We speak to our clients in Swedish. We help them in Swedish. And we try to deliver more than just a panel. We try to deliver the whole system around the solar panel. So when you buy a solar panel, you need to have a matching inverter. You need to have maybe a battery, a charging station. So instead of just selling a panel and saying good luck, we try to sell the whole package. Basically.
Yeah, but let's say that you would end up losing market shares in the coming years. What would you say have gone wrong?
So I would say if we lose market shares, what we have done is probably slacked. We haven't been as strong as we could have been. Maybe we've overestimated the sense of being Swedish. Maybe we've been bad at buying the products, because I mean a lot of solar modules and solar panels is about sourcing. So maybe we've been bad sources. Maybe we've been arrogant, but I doubt all of that. But of course it could happen.
Yeah.
But because the market is growing so tremendously. I mean, you have government incentives pushing the market forwards. You have a product that's just getting better and better for each year, and getting lower in cost for each year. And you have an inherent consumer demand from the market. So, I mean, it's growing. Just recently, EU did this new EU Renewable Act. They doubled the amount. They doubled the projected amount of renewable energy to 2030. So revised a lot because of the war in Ukraine. So there's so many macro wins. So
yeah. Could you perhaps elaborate a bit on your strategy and your strategy to capture this market growth?
Yeah, sure. So if you do a comparison with when the mobile phone came out and the first mobile camera came out, everyone was talking about megapixels on their camera. So there was like a megapixel race, because that was the only thing a person could evaluate on a camera. That's kind of happened in the solar panel industry as well, or solar module system. Everyone knows approximately how much a solar panel should cost. But they kind of forget that, well, you can't just buy a solar panel. You can't just buy a camera on a phone. Then you can just buy the camera and then you can't text with it or call with it. So we think we have to offer a system where everything is adapted to work together. So, I mean, we're moving a lot to batteries these days. You need to buy a solar panel that works with a battery. You need to have a hybrid inverter that works with a battery, works with your charger. Who knows what's going to happen in a few years when we have vehicle to grid battery setups? Then if we're not doing our jobs, our consumers will come back to us and say, hey, why did you sell me an inverter that's not working with this thing? I need to buy another inverter for 100,000 kronor. So I think by being local and trying to deliver systems that actually work for our customers, not just today, but also being somewhat future-proof, I think that's going to make us strong in the future.
Yeah. So what would you say that your biggest risks or challenges is that you need to manage to be successful with your strategy? And how much of this is in your hands versus external factors?
I mean, you can always blame stuff on external factors, and which I try not to. But of course, if let's say we'll reach interest levels of 25%, then we'll have an issue. This industry won't be around then without subsidies. But overall, again, maybe I'm too bullish, but the way I'm seeing it, the macro trends are there. All we need to do is make sure we have the products the consumers are actually demanding for, grow our presence in the market, grow our presence outside of the market, and maybe also look at stuff we can improve within the organization. But
yeah. So lastly, if we talk a bit about your strategy regarding growth versus profitability, and how are you looking to create value for your shareholders?
I think what we've learned for the past few years is that growth without profitability is something investors aren't really keen on. And as a publicly listed company and with shareholders, we have a responsibility for our shareholders. And we have a responsibility of actually being profitable as well. That's part of our pathos of this company. But continue offering the products consumers want. Maybe look at I mean, as of now, we've had a very high organic growth. Maybe look to acquire something within that touches in our industry, obviously, but maybe fast forwards our growth a little bit, because we have money in the bank, we are profitable, and we are growing, and we see a lot of companies out there with a different situation than us. So right now, I would say we are in the buyer's market. So we're in a comfortable place. I would say, to kind of summarize what we feel, and I think it conveys, I hope it conveys the message I'm trying to give, is that this industry, macro winds are terribly strong. We've created this vessel called Windon Energy Group. We've built the fundamentals of this vessel. We think we have a big sail to catch the wind start blowing, and we think we have the right staff to be able to endure potential storms, which I think we've proven that we can. So we're all in all very, very hopeful.
Yeah, money in the bank and profitable growth. Sounds good.
Yeah, exactly.
Thank you very much for joining us today.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.